of her, but yeah.
Yeah. And smart. Yeah. She's observing.
Yeah. Yeah, very. Well, are you so you are going to HR Tech though?
I'm going to HR Tech,
Yep.
and yeah, like I said, it's just I just want one more month in between now and HR Tech to get ready.
Is
But I'm excited. I think it's fun to see people again and catch up with all the industry
Yeah, is it
people.
me or does it feel like in the last 3 weeks, all of a sudden a switch got flipped and it's just raining event invitations and these agendas are
Crazy.
loose agendas are coming out, but join us at this. Can you make it to
Yeah.
that? Like, okay, it's not just me then.
It's all like 3 week notice. I think we were like going back a little forth a little bit last week. Like, are you going here? Are you going here? And it's just not enough time. I wish it was spread out a little bit where, even
Yeah,
if there's something in August, I might go in August, but I can't do everything in September.
I can't. And as much as I love HR Tech, like, I mean, my goodness, so Jerry and I are doing the burn again this year.
Yes.
So we get back from that and it's right into events almost every other week. So it's like we got an Amsterdam invite, we got a Paris invite, it's just like everybody waited till the last minute and they're cramming them in for us to
I
go.
know.
It's like,
Amsterdam, that's fun. I didn't get that invite. That sounds like a good one.
yeah, it should be. Well, I'm not going. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just can't. I can't do it all. I'm just one person.
It's too much. Right.
Yeah, and I might have become a little introverted. I might be a little more
Oh, I
introverted
don't
than I
know.
was.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Really?
We'll
We'll
have to see
see.
when we hit the.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. We'll have to see what
I bet a
happens.
lot of people, I mean, it's interesting because I think I think it could go both ways for people too, right? For a lot of people that are introverted, that it was just too much during the pandemic. A lot of people were like in New York in these tiny studios all by themselves that are just going to kind of go out and change the way they approach people, maybe
Yeah,
become extroverts. Yeah.
I guess I got a little comfortable not going somewhere all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's easier.
Well, are you ready to get this thing started?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
All right. Well, we are glad you're here. So it's good afternoon, howdy, and hello to everybody. I'm Chris Hoyt. I'm host of the CXR Recruiting Community Podcast. We are your weekly dose of mostly live interviews and catch-ups with industry leaders, friends, and personalities. You can catch us anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are jumping in live, you can join the conversation by using the live chat found in that little tiny window on the side or underneath it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or even our website at cxr.work/podcast. Now, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button so that you are reminded of upcoming shows while simultaneously feeding our show's collective ego. We don't make any money from the show. Nobody pays to be here. That is why you will not hear any ads or hear us promoting anything that is anything but what we think you should be paying attention to. So today, I am welcoming back our dear friend, industry analyst and founder of Aptitude Research, Madeline Laurano. And she's going to tell you what she's paying attention to. So Madeline, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me here again.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So Madeline, for those maybe who don't know you as well as we do, why don't you give us the escalator pitch of who Madeline Laurano is and why we should be listening to what she has to say.
Sure. And I don't know what I'll say for why anyone should be listening, but I am the founder of a company called Aptitude Research. I have been an analyst for quite some time, for almost 2 decades, and follow HR technology. My main focus is talent acquisition technology. So I do research, I do advisory, and I try to stay on top of this crazy, crazy market. So that's pretty much it.
Well, I think you do a pretty good job. We like having you in here. It's been a kind of a nutty couple of weeks. So
Yes.
we invited we invited you on the show to just kind of talk about what you've been seeing. A couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about employer branding. There's this boom. AIM published a little report, I think it was last week, that talked a little bit about that and had some really great points. And I also want to talk about employees' acquisition of lever.
Yeah.
You did a show with Lagunas and Sackett talking about this, but do you want to start with the lever piece?
Yeah, let's start with the lever piece. So
Okay.
it's been a minute since we've seen an ATS acquisition. I mean, Chris, we've been in this industry forever. So we've seen times where there have been like so many ATSs that have been acquired, and that's sort of like 2006, Virtual Edge was acquired, Brass Ring was acquired. Then we saw that again in 2011 with Taleo and Success Factors. And to see this now big entity of Employ, which first of all, I didn't know was called Employ. I thought it was just JobBite. And then I
Yep.
saw that in the press release. Acquire Lever, which is another ATS, now gives them 3 ATS systems and many other different products, CRMs and employee referral capabilities and all this stuff.
Mhm.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of capabilities that are not going to be fully integrated. They're going to all remain separate brands.
That's kind of it because it does give employee Lever gets their platform for recruiting and sourcing and hiring. It's an entire, for those who don't know, it's literally an entire CRM and ATS suite, right? To your point. But employee, they're kind of on a rampage, right? Because they bought Jazz HR. They acquired the what was it? The RPO Next Thing
Next thing.
RPO. I mean, all that just
Mhm.
like in the last year or so. But
Yep.
what really was kind of a kick in the teeth, I think, for a lot of people, and I think yourself included, none of us sort of saw this coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think typically what happens when there's an acquisition is like we all get briefings or we get some kind of, email even an hour before to say this is what's happening. We're going to jump on some type of analyst call or some influencer call and give
Hmm.
everybody a heads up about what's happening. But the press release didn't include a lot of information. So it was like we acquired Lever and see you next year for the next acquisition. And it was just, not a lot of information about what we're doing with customers, what we're doing are we keeping the sales and marketing team at Lever, which is a fantastic team? Are we, integrating this product? Will Lever be typically what happens with an ATS acquisition? Like we've seen this
Yeah.
before, is the better ATS becomes the ATS. So it's like if
Yep.
you've got 2 or 3 ATSs, you pick the best and that's what you sell. That doesn't seem to be the case for this situation because Jazz is SMB and then Lever and JobBite are so different. We just have no idea what's going on.
And I'm not saying collectively like our little egos should all be hurt
Yeah.
and right, we should be upset. Didn't
Yeah.
anybody tell us? And we cry, but it is kind of an interesting. I wouldn't say it's stealthy, but it was kind of an interesting out of left field acquisition. So it will be kind of interesting to see what comes from that.
Yeah, and I think, I'm always interested in the product and how they're going to integrate and kind of go to market with these different products, but I'm also always interested in the cultures, especially like coming out of COVID and, just this
That's a
empathy we
good
all
call
have to
out.
think about. It's like they're two very different companies. JobBite's still figuring it out. Employees still figuring it out. They've had a change in leadership in the past year. Or the past 2 years, and they've had some people leave. Their culture is still not fully formed. And it took a big shift, I think, with the change in leadership. And now you've got Lever, which is a really strong, inclusive culture, great CEO that is very tech focused and very connected with the tech community. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these two cultures, do they just remain completely separate, or is there a way to think about really retaining this talent?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, so okay, so that's employ and lever. It was one of
Mhm.
the things I wanted to just touch on very quickly. I've got another one, but let me ask you. I think you've got a report that's coming out soon. Are there any nuggets you want to tease us with? Give us something that you're seeing in the space that we should check out, and then maybe dig into that report.
Sure. So we're publishing a report on onboarding this week on Thursday, and I'm doing a webinar with clickboarding, and then the report will be available to anyone attending, and then next week it'll be available for everyone. But onboarding's, I mean, it's not a new topic, and it's definitely not this new phenomenon, but it's shocking to me, having done research on it for a while, how little companies spend on it compared to TA tech and employee experience. Like it's almost double what companies will spend on TA tech or employee experience tech than what they spend on onboarding. And yet we know that we found 86% of companies said new hires make a decision to stay with their company in the first 90 days.
Yeah.
And that 93% of managers know if somebody is quality of hire, this kind of holy grail that everyone wants to get after in the first 90 days. So it's so important and it's just not the priority.
You probably did on multiple channels, but I think I saw it on Twitter where you had thrown up a screenshot of a report you did like way back,
Yeah, like
and
15
how
years.
yeah 15 and how onboarding had not actually changed much
Yeah.
since then. Do you uncover maybe why this is one of, because it seems to me this is another one of those things in recruiting that could be relatively low hanging fruit, and we just
Totally.
don't mess with it.
Yeah, and it's something everyone can relate to. Like people will buy this because we all know what onboarding is. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
explain it. Like we've all had horrible new hire experiences in our lives. And we know the impact of that. But when you look at the technology, like a lot of ATS systems have an onboarding module that
Mhm.
many of them include for free. Like it's like if they want to win a deal, we'll throw an onboarding
Oh
if you
yeah.
buy our ATS. And it's just a new hire portal, nothing fancy. Like you can do some video, you can, have people fill out forms. It's forms compliance. And we just haven't moved beyond that within the ATS world. Like, fortunately, we're now seeing new providers that do really cool things and provide a much better, compliant and more positive experience.
Why do you think so? You know what I've noticed in my career with onboarding is like nobody wants it.
Nobody
Nobody
wants it. Nobody
nobody
wants
wants to
it.
own it. Why does nobody
100%,
want it?
100%. That's it, Chris. That is 100% it. It's like nobody wants to touch it. Like TA, and I understand it. Like TA doesn't necessarily want to be responsible for beyond, once somebody gets their offer, that's more work. That's kind of HR work. That's employee experience work. And then learning and development, like for a lot of companies, L&D owns onboarding, but their impact on that is just to be able to provide training. Like, can we give new hires the training and
Yeah,
development they need in the first 90 days? They're not responsible for making sure forms are filled out, making sure that managers are held accountable for somebody having a laptop on the first day.
yeah.
People just don't want that responsibility. And
So
it's shocking. Like people share their experience too, right? Like we see this on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever social channels you use. And we found in the research, 75% of new hires share their first day of work experience on their social channels. That's a lot.
yeah. Well, so it's kind of interesting to me that nobody wants it because I'm a head of recruiting. I don't want that. Like once I have put the meat in the seat, I'm done. I want to be done at that point.
Yeah.
So like who's taking it? Are you seeing a shift in that trend, or is it still all hands off? Is it the same thing?
It's definitely, that's a big issue. Like the ownership is a huge issue, but TA is more being held accountable for retention. I think, I don't know if you see this too with a lot of your members, but a lot of conversations I've been having, it's like retention is becoming a TA metric in some form.
Yeah.
And onboarding is kind of like, again, that low hanging fruit that you can say, well, okay, if we're going to be responsible for retention, it's going to be in a period of time. We're not responsible for
Mhm.
5 years later. That's not our responsibility.
Oh yeah, well, we just did a recent show where or a spotlight where we were talking about quality of hire
Yeah.
and how it's this mystery metric that we've all struggled to sort of measure and even define, and how there are certain levers at every company that adjust what a quality hire metric should look like. And so that's always kind of interesting to me that 90 days retention or 60 days retention even gets included. I think it's ridiculous that it even gets included in quality of hire. And I wonder if anybody's. It just occurs to me. I wonder. And if you're in the live chat, we got some folks in there. They're like, drop it in. Are you guys measuring quality of hire? Are you guys tracking any of that? A Q of H? Are you dealing with retention as that piece or onboarding? But like, it just blows my mind. Maybe somebody's holding on to onboarding so that they can help their quality of hire metrics with retention in the 90
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's so interesting. This is a side note, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. I got this briefing request, like vendors, and I know you get the same thing. Like vendors reach out and say, "We're a new vendor in the space, and we want to brief you on our new product." And this one was for a company that cleans up individual social profiles for all, you know, whatever inappropriate content or cleans
Oh, yeah,
up people's
scrubs it.
profiles. It scrubs your profile to make sure that everything that's not appropriate is taken off, and they're selling this as an onboarding solution, quality of hire solution.
Wait a minute. Wait. So post hire, they'll go in and clean up your social profile.
They'll go in and
It's
clean up the social profile.
so the company is doing some CYA for the individuals so let's say you hire. I think I just listened to so Hung Lee did a thing with Adam. the other day, I think last week, about sourcing on Reddit.
Yeah.
And one of the conversation pieces came up, said, look, you just hired a Nazi. You sourced a Nazi on Reddit. What do you do? So it seems to me
Right.
this is something the company would be doing to scrub their, like, we hired this guy. We know he's a Nazi, but we don't want anybody else to know he's a Nazi because he's such a great tech guy. So we're going to try to
Or
keep
we
him.
found out too late. Like we already made the offer. They accepted the offer. We found out too late. We know there's going to be a lawsuit. We know we have to clean up these profiles. I obviously did not do the briefing, but I kind
That
of wish
seems
I
a
did.
little sketch. That seems a
Yeah,
little
I'll send you
sketch.
the email. It's hysterical. Yeah, I was like, this is not an onboarding quality of hire solution. Yeah.
No, this would be something I would imagine that you would want as the candidate to pay for, to scrub your profiles
As
so
a
that when
job
you
seeker.
hire. Yeah,
Yeah.
as the job seeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting. And I think it's a little shady. I think that's how I feel. It's a little shady.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
my God.
Yep.
Please do forward that to me. That's somebody we need to bring in and talk about why. Why would the company want to scrub
Exactly.
it?
Exactly.
Well, okay. So please send that email to me.
I know it's like this. Yeah. This industry. Who knows? Who knows what
It's a
we're going to
little,
see every
well,
single day.
I have a letter coming out today. I'm gonna publish it on LinkedIn, and we'll do it in our monthly bellwether. And I think I mentioned it earlier when we were talking, but we interviewed a brand new leader who had come into a position. So the member company that was with Career Crossroads already with us, but they had a leadership change, and we sat down to interview that leader. And it was his first time coming into talent acquisition. So long history within talent management and HR, wonderful professional, really sharp, but said, man, I picked a really weird time to come in. It seems like things are kind of crazy right now. And all I could do was just say, look, brother, it's crazy every year. It's always something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel
I
like,
know. I feel bad for people that like we've been doing this for like 2 decades. Like I feel bad for people that just come into the industry for the first time and they're like, I want a quick tutorial of like what's happening. It's like, oh, there's too much. Don't even bother. It's going to change tomorrow.
yeah, well, you're either going through some sort of reorg, restructuring, some sort of massive change management, implementation, pandemic, social,
Mhm.
like there's something all the time. It's like the crazy girlfriend or boyfriend that you have, right? The
Yeah.
crazy ex where there was always drama. That's what the
Yeah,
recruiting industry is. It's the
it
friend of
is.
yours that has all the drama
Yeah.
all the
All
time.
the drama. And you have to be the stable one that can just still be friends with them through
Yeah,
the chaos.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
have to try not to let your friend see you go, oh boy, like
Yeah.
every time. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a little bit of TA. I never thought about this before, but being in TA requires like some PR skills.
It does.
Like,
A hundred
yeah,
percent. A hundred
yeah.
percent. Look, so I love talking to you. We get derailed all the time. The AIM group, fantastic resource. They published something last week that talked about this employer branding boom. I mentioned it earlier, where this tight labor market is really driving a lot of employers to beef up their brands, both internally and externally. Are you seeing any of this also, like in your world?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think it started with the pandemic. Like, I think even before the labor shortage, 2020 was this, like, we might not be hiring anybody, but everybody's focused on us. And then 2021 was we're hiring everybody and anybody. We don't care who they are.
Yeah.
So I think during both situations, this like employer branding boom was happening. The first, driver of that was really to say, we have empathy, we're helping people, we're helping our employees, we're a great place to work, even if things are crazy. We care about safety, we care about empathy, we care about you. And then the second piece of it was we have to have a strong brand because we are really struggling to compete for talent.
Yeah.
I think, I saw it a lot with the campus recruiting piece too. I hope this doesn't derail us a little bit, but I think with campus, it's really hard with campus because you rely on events like in-person events. Like
Mhm.
if you're a company that a college kid has never heard of or early talent has never heard of, but you're a
Yep.
cool company and you're an awesome company to work for, the only way you're going to make a connection is if you go to an event, you grab the early talent, give them a hug, pull them in your booth,
Yep.
show them like the cool culture, show them the benefits, like get them psyched for working at your company, that's really hard to do in a virtual event environment. Like it's really hard if you're a no-name brand or you're
Yeah.
a not recognizable brand to do that. So a lot of investment on the campus side of like being more creative about how do we invest in employer branding that's going to be different than what we've done in the past with in-person events. But I think it's every aspect of it. I think what I get a little bit concerned about with this kind of boom is it's not often reality. And it's, just to be able to do one goal, which is to get talent interested or to convert talent
Yeah.
early. And then you get the interview and the assessment, and that's the reality check. It's like, well, we actually like people to get here at 7 a.m., work in the office and stay till 7 p.m. That's our culture. And you don't find that in employer branding material.
No, you don't. You certainly don't
Yeah,
see that. Yeah.
you don't see that. And then the other piece of it is, and I think this is true of like career sites in general, like there's becoming the standard for career sites with branding to say, diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important. Like put tons of pictures up on your career site of a diverse workforce.
Yeah.
And candidates are smart. They know the difference. They're looking at these career sites that look like a really diverse, inclusive culture. And then they go to the executive team and they go to the board of directors and it's all white men and they're putting two and two together and it looks like a lie.
Yeah, I think I don't remember who we had on maybe 6 months ago or so, and we were talking about these marketing and branding strategies to sort of empower the employer brand and say, look, we are a diverse culture, and we got into kind of an interesting discussion around is it from the branding team's point of view, they feel like their hands are tied because what's the marketing and branding team going to do? They're going to throw a picture of somebody of color or somebody in a wheelchair on the website. And that's all they can do. That doesn't solve anything, right? Because to your point, the candidates are smarter than that. They're going to go look it up. They're going to go do a little, drilling down on, Indeed profile pages or on, Glassdoor, that kind of thing. And they're going to see right through the bullshit.
Right, exactly. Or they'll see, individuals with disability, and that's a big, topic I think that we don't even talk about in candidate experience. But if you're going to portray yourself one way in the career site, and then a candidate can see that your organization, or even even if the interview process is, we expect you to come and take 2 buses and get to our downtown office, that's obviously not being inclusive.
Yeah, it's a rough way. I will tell you what's kind of interesting. And sort of related, we had on Andrew Fudge from Recruitonomics, and he's a industry analyst, right? Brilliant guy, and delightful. I would have invited him today. I think he's on vacation this week. Everybody's on vacation but us, by the way, Madeline.
I know.
He did a really interesting layout, and right after the jobs report, which is fantastic news, right? But really interesting because some of our members are talking about how difficult these tech jobs are, right? And it's only getting worse, or is it getting more difficult? Or gosh, I can't tell. If you had to guess, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had to guess, based on the Recruitonomics, like cost per application, right? What type of job, right, industry, right, do you think is the hardest to fill? Is it, and I'll give you some, right, up front.
Yeah.
Right? Is it tech? Is it healthcare? Is it transportation? Is it services? Like, what of all the industries, what would you think was the one industry that didn't stay level, that spiked like 120% for cost?
That's more difficult. Yeah. It's so interesting. I mean, services has been kind of the topic that everyone's been focused on, and we see like businesses not opening. So that would be kind of my thought, is to go there. I would say services or healthcare, because I feel like, healthcare has been so challenging as well. I know I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, 100%, because that's what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, well, look, I know services is going to be on fire. Like, people are traveling again. People are getting back into. A lot of these jobs came from restaurants. We're looking at booking. And it was really interesting. Andrew did a really neat thing where he talked about the open table booking rates as one of the metrics. So you can see how the restaurants are full, that sort of thing. It was transportation, which really surprised me. It was drivers.
Yeah.
Hardest thing is to hire these get these drivers in. And it's 120% increase up on the cost per applicant. It's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. And there are so many companies, so many brands that we don't even know that have so many employees. I mean, huge like enterprise companies that are transportation companies. I mean, it's a huge industry. There was a conference, you were probably there too. It was years and years ago. And there was
We
somebody
were
from
definitely there.
Greyhound. Yeah, we were definitely both there. There was someone from Greyhound, like a head of talent acquisition from Greyhound. And they said that the hardest positions they had to fill, and they pay over six figures for, are plumbers, because they can't get plumbers on staff to fix the toilets in the Greyhound buses.
Oh, interesting.
But
So,
they
so
want,
you,
like, they want full-time employees that are plumbers that can do
yeah,
this, and they were not able to find that.
I would have never even imagined that there is a specialized plumber for bus bathrooms.
Bus bathrooms, or any plumber that just wants to work for Greyhound. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, one of the most, like when I was a recruiter and carried recs, I mean, you do learn a lot about what weird jobs you've never heard of. It is kind of an
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
chocolatiers and bus plumbers and things like that. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Madeline, you mentioned you've got a report that's coming out pretty soon, and I think also, if my calendar is correct, you've got a webinar coming up. Also, can you want to talk a little bit about that, and people can get some information, maybe join you on that?
Sure, absolutely. So the onboarding report, which we talked about today, will be available on Thursday on the Aptitude Research website. I'm doing a webinar with clipboarding, and we'll go through all the research. Anyone that attends gets a early copy of the report. It's a big topic, and I've been revisiting reports from 2008 and 2005, so it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
fun to look at how little has changed in onboarding. So that's the next report available. And then we just did a report on text recruiting too with Emissary, which I love that
Oh,
topic too.
that most definitely interesting. So Madeline, let me ask you, because we try to keep these about 20 minutes, so I need to keep you a little bit long. If you were going to write a book about the state of things today, so sort of what we've talked about, we've been all over the map, obviously, but what we've talked about, what would you title that book?
This is so hard. I always blank on these questions, but
These are
I
so
think
dumb, but I
I'm
love
gonna,
it.
this is no, I love them too, and I love people's answers. But I am going to co-author this book with you, Chris, and it's going to be what you said earlier, which is, this is so crazy. Like, this is so crazy, and it's going to stay. We'll never have to do updates to the book because it will remain crazy.
I like
It's a
that.
crazy industry. It's fun, but it's
More of a
definitely
coffee
crazy.
table book, maybe. Nothing
Coffee
terribly
table,
serious, but yeah.
pictures, lots of pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get a forward written. Can Charney write our forward?
Yeah, or Sackett will write it. He does a good forward.
That'd be good. Or he can write the
Yeah.
backward. He can write the
Yeah,
backside,
yeah,
and we'll just be sandwiched in the middle. It'll be a Matt and
Perfect.
Tim sandwich. It'll be awesome.
Oh
All right, so Madeline, here's a question you're not expecting. Who gets the first signed copy of your book?
my gosh, Jerry. That's easy. Definitely Jerry.
He will appreciate that. He's in Montana this week on vacation with his lady, so I'm sure he'll get a kick out of that.
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
Good
thanks
stuff.
for having me on, Chris.
Yeah, happy to have you. So I'm going to push you back into the green room and just hang out there for a little bit, and I'll reconnect with you. But Madeline, as always, thank you so much for giving us your time today. Super, super grateful. Glad you were able to make it.
Thanks for having me on, Chris.
All right, good stuff. Hang out for a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to pull up really quickly. I want to show everybody, because obviously this is a live meeting, but we've got some stuff going on. August 9th, that's today. This afternoon, if you're a member, you can join us with Charlie Franklin. We're going to do a solutions spotlight on Compa. Going to be super fun. We are also upcoming. We've got our campus recruiting meeting. That recruiting meeting was so crazy with our members, they asked for a part 2. So we're putting that together. That's coming up August 10th. And then, are you in Denver? Because I'm going to be in Denver, and I'm going to be hosting a dinner. So if you're in Denver and you want to come have dinner with me, let me know. We've got about 20 folks that we're bringing into an awfully nice restaurant. I got about 2 seats left, and I have been known to pair a nice wine with a little bit of food. So if you want to do that, just give me a ping and let me know if you're in the Denver area. I'd really like to see you. With that, I'm going to tell everybody, we will see you next week on the show. Take care. Be strong.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram @careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.